Hello students, welcome back. This is Prathamesh Mane from DP Sir classes, and today we'll be continuing our chapter gravitation. In the previous three lectures, we have covered a vast portion of the chapter gravitation. Today we'll cover the remaining portion, the theory portion which is remaining. We'll cover the remaining theory portion in this lecture, and we'll try to cover the numericals in the next lecture. There is some theory portion remaining for this chapter. The one of the topics is variation in the value of g, and other two topics are escape velocity, and there is one more topic that is gravitational potential energy. Those two are just theory topics, and I think there are some numericals also based on escape velocity. There are some numericals based on this variation in the value of g. We'll solve all those numericals, and also there are some numericals on the formula F is equal to g mm upon r square. There are some formulas related to that formula also. We'll be solving all those numericals in the next lecture, because I would like to give some times to the numericals. You are kids of 10th standard, and you don't understand some concepts. So I feel like giving a different lecture for numericals will be very beneficial for you. So stay tuned to the channel. In the next lecture, we'll be coming up with numericals. This lecture will be going with the theory part. So first topic which we are taking up is variation in the value of g. Well, variation in the value of g occurs due to three factors. It is basically of three kinds, or it can be of three factors, as you may like to call. First one is due to change in shape of earth. Now, why is there a changing value due to the shape of the earth? The first thing which should come to your mind is that earth is not spherical in shape. You might laugh at me, but earth is not exactly spherical in shape. It is flattened at the poles, and it bulges at the equator. Well, this is due to the forces acting on the earth when it revolves and rotates around itself and revolves around the sun. It is due to that reason it is bulging at the equator and it is flat at the poles. So how does the value of g change due to this shape of earth? I told you shape of earth is not exactly spherical, and it is flat at the poles and it bulges at the equators. So value of r changes. Now, how does the value of r changes? Why does the value of r change? Well, when it is flat at the poles, imagine the earth, the sphere of the earth. I have a photo here. Yeah, we'll try to work out with this photo. Yeah, now have a look at this. I'll take a better color. I hope this red should be with, yeah, this red is red. So see, this is the center point. I marked at the exact point. So from this center point, you see this distance. If it is bulging at this point, if it bulges, this r will be greater than this r. If this one is flat and this one is bulging, this small r will be smaller than the capital R. So basically, what does this mean? This means that value of r will be more at the equator and it will be lesser at the poles. What does this imply? Value of r is greater at the equator and it is less at the poles. So because of this, what happens? Firstly, we know the formula that g is equal to gm upon r square. We know the formula g is equal to gm upon r square. Now, by the means of this formula, we understand that g will be inversely proportional to 1 upon r square, right? G will be inversely proportional to 1 upon r square, which I have shown in the next. Yeah. So if something is inversely proportional, what does it mean? If something is inversely proportional, what does it mean? If the value of g increases, the value of r decreases, right? So here, if the value of r is greater at the equator, so here we have g is proportional to 1 upon r square. So here the value of r is increasing. Value of r is increasing, then we can see that the value of g will decrease. So the value of g will be less at equator, and similarly value of g will be more at poles, right? Is it correct? It is inversely proportional. So the value of R increases, value of G decreases. So the value of G. Now, what will be the difference? What will be the difference in the values? Well, it will be not a large difference. It will be a minuscule difference. It will be a small difference. Like it is almost around 0.03 or 0.04. That kind of difference is there. Like the value of G, if it at the poles it is 9.8, then at a equator it will be 9.77. There is not a huge difference between, because the value of R is not drastically changing. It is a small difference in the value of R, so we do not have a drastic change, but there is a change in the value of R. So we mean to say that the value of R changes, even though it is a small value of R, the value of R is changing by small means we see that the value of R is changing. So what did we learn here? We learned that the value of R is greater at the poles and is lesser at the equator. What did we learn? We learned value of R is greater at poles and lesser at equator. Or maybe you can frame the sentence that like value of R is greater at poles than at equator. Well, that would be a more correct one. Really sorry. Yeah, value of R is greater at poles than at equator. So what did we learn here? Value of R is greater at poles than at equator. So change in the value of G happening due to shape of Earth. Now next we move on to change in value due to height. So what is height? Height here height can also be called as altitude. Another word for height, altitude. I'll just write it down there. Altitude. What is altitude? Altitude is basically you go above the surface of the earth. Like the way there are peaks, the Mount Everest is about 8.8 kilometers above the surface of earth. So that is an altitude. So in this way, if you go at an altitude, there might be some change in the value of G. So how does it, why does this happen? See, objects move above the surface of the earth, as I stated, so the value of R increases. Now you might ask, why does the value of R increases? I'll explain it to you in a bit. First, we'll look at it theoretically. Value of R increases. So value of R increases. Now we know that G is Gm upon R square, like the previous one. In this one also, G is inversely proportional to R. So if something is inversely proportional, we know one quantity increases, the other quantity will drastically decrease. So if the value of R increases, the value of G will decrease. So basically, and if an object goes at a height, you will experience a lesser gravitational force, or the gravitational acceleration, that is the value of G, will be lesser. See, here we have a diagram of the earth. I'll like to try to explain it. See, this you assume this point to be center. Sorry. Yeah. So this is the surface. What I do is I go at a height, at some height, right? So what happened here? R plus this is some height H. So what happens is the value of my R increases. Since the value of my R increases, the value of my G will decrease. So basically, if you are on Mount Everest, you would not experience that much gravitational acceleration as you might experience on a beach or on a flat surface. As you go above the surface of the earth, the value of G decreases. You might know about man-made satellites which revolve around the earth. Well, they try to escape, they are in the atmosphere, but they try to escape the value of G. They try to neutralize the value of G so that they can revolve around the earth. This is another concept which you may learn in the further future. Next is the concept that is change in value of G due to depth. Now, what is depth? What does depth mean here? Depth means that you go deeper inside the surface of the earth. You go in the surface of the earth. Till this point, we have learned about staying on the surface of the earth, going above the surface of the earth. Now we will be learning about going inside the surface of the earth. Now I would like to pause the video and think about it. What will happen in this case? If we go beyond the into the surface of the earth, what will be the change to the value of G? Yeah. So as I stated in this statement, you can see, you might have also thought like this, that as we go deep inside the earth, value of R will decrease. So the value of G will increase. Is this what you thought? Well, it's incorrect. This is not correct. What happens in this case? Something else comes into the picture. That is the mass of the earth. See, when you go deeper inside the earth, the portion through which you go deeper, that portion is not considered when you consider gravitational acceleration. So the mass of the earth which remains, that is only considered. That is the result, the mass also decreases. So mass decreases and value of R also decreases. Problem here is that, yeah, so the combined result, value of G also decreases, since mass also decreases and radius also decreases, and the combined effect G decreases. Now you might ask that why does G decrease and why does it not increase? Well, scientists have calculated everything and they have stated these statements. Fine. See, G is proportional to m upon r square. Now you might all say that this r, there is a r square here, and r ka value will be large drastically, and m ka value will not change to that extent. So there might be an increase in the value of G, because r the value of r will be more than value of m. Well, scientists have calculated, and according to the calculation stated by them, the value of G decreases as you go deeper into the surface of the earth. Here also I have a picture of the earth and I would like to demonstrate a bit. Again, we try to, this time we'll act to the poles. Okay, this is the pole of pole. I try to go deep into the pole, right? Do not imagine this as the surface, because I can't explain you on a 3D diagram exactly. I'm explaining it to you on a 2D diagram. Imagine I've gone this deep into the surface of the earth. Now, the above surface, all this surface will go and only I'll be remain with this circle. Now, when we consider mass, the mass will be considered for this circle, right? It won't be the mass of the earth. This m will not be considered. We'll consider the mass which is remaining. That is why the value of m changes. Did you understand why does the value of m change? When we go deep into the surface of the earth, we consider the value remaining, or the surface which is remaining. Like we went this deep into the surface of the earth, so only this much of the portion of the earth is remaining, right? All the surface of the earth is not considered. Why is it not considered? Because this is the surface. When we calculate the value of G for the surface of the earth, do we consider the other objects? Do we consider the weight of the atmosphere? Do we consider the force applied by the atmosphere? Or do we consider the other galaxies? Do we consider the other planets? No. We consider only the mass of the earth, the mass which is below the surface. In the same manner, in this case, the mass which is below the surface is the mass remaining, which I have circled in this red color. So the mass of this will be something m dash maybe. So this is the mass which we will be considering. So as a result, there will be a drastic change in the mass. The mass will obviously it will be lesser than the capital M mass. So the value of mass will decrease, the value of R will decrease, and so the value of G will also decrease. So these are the three concepts. Remember, when there is a change in the shape of the earth, the value of R at poles it is the maximum, so the value of G at poles is maximum. Yeah, then at poles it is at the equator, sorry, I'm really sorry, At poles, the value of r is minimum, so the value of g is maximum. At the equator, the value of r increases. At the equator, the value of r increases, and so the value of g decreases. Same is the case for height. As height increases, the value of g decreases. And for depth, what did we learn just now? Mass decreases, radius decreases. All that is why the value of g also decreases. Remember this point. This is for height. This is for change in shape. Okay. So these are the three theory topics which we have just completed. Remember once again, at the poles, it is minimum, the value of g is maximum. At the equator, the value of g is minimum. Value of g decreases as radius increases. So when we go at a certain height, the value of g will decrease. As height increases, value of g decreases. Third point is when depth, we go deeper into the earth, the value of g will also come down. When we go high up on the earth, when we go above the surface of the earth, the value of g will also decrease. So in all the three cases, value of g decreases. So always remember that the value of g always is maximum at the surface of the earth. Remember this point, note it down somewhere. Value of g is maximum at the surface of the earth. Okay. Let's move on to the next two topics. These are very small theory topics. Here we have one more topic here, mass and weight. Mass and weight is a very beautiful concept, and a lot of people get confused in this one. Well, now what is a mass and what is weight? Now, whatever your weight, the one which you weigh at your doctor, or what the scale which you have at your home on which you stand and you see some weight, like you might see some weight 59.7 kilograms. That is your weight. That is not the mass. What is weight? Weight is the force exerted by us on the surface of the earth. Now we calculate it in kilograms for general use, but actually weight is calculated in newtons. As everyone knows, force is always calculated in newtons. So weight is also calculated in newtons, because weight is a kind of force. But we humans, we always try to make things easier. We try to generalize things, and that is why we calculate weight in kilograms. But remember the fact that weight is never calculated in kilograms. It is always calculated in newtons. Then what is mass? Mass is the amount of matter in a body. Like I have a pen in my hand. This pen might have some mass and have some weight. The weight and mass of the pen will never remain the same. Imagine the mass of this pen is about 10 grams. Imagine the mass of this pen is 10 grams. The mass of this pen on earth will be 10 grams. It will be 10 grams on the moon. It will be 10 grams on the sun. It will be 10 grams. Take it anywhere in the universe. But same is not the case with weight. Weight depends on gravitational forces. Weight depends on gravitational forces. The greater gravitational force, more is your weight. So for example, in this case, if this pen weighs 20 grams on earth, if this pen weighs 20 grams on earth, it will weigh lesser on moon. Why will it weigh lesser on moon? Because moon has lesser gravitational force as compared to earth. It has lesser gravitational acceleration than earth. So obviously the weight of this pen will be less on moon than on earth. This has been observed by scientists. Also, the weight of scientist on earth will not be the same as his weight on moon. It will be very less, because the gravitational pull on the moon is quite less than earth. So I have noted down some points. I would like you to go through these. Mass is the quantity of matter contained in an object. Mass is a scalar quantity. Now, what is a scalar quantity? What is a vector quantity? I'll first define to you why mass is a scalar quantity. Does it matter that if I hold my pen like this or like this, or if I throw my pen, if I bounce up my pen somewhere, if I transport it from one planet to another, will the mass change? Will the mass of this pen change? No, mass is a scalar quantity. Irrespective of the place where it is kept, where it is being handled, mass of this pen will remain 10 grams only. Same is not the case with weight. Weight will go on changing. Yeah, the SI unit of mass is kilograms. Note this also. Weight. Weight is nothing but it is the force with which Earth or any planet, not Earth, any body, I would say. We are studying gravitation, so I have written here Earth, but it can't be Earth. You can write any body. Any body attracts the object towards the center. So why is weight a vector quantity? Well, weight will depend. Now this pen will not weigh the same on the equator and on the poles. On the poles, it will weigh a bit more, and on the equator, it will weigh a bit less. Why? Remember why? Well, that is because just in the previous slide, just in the previous 2-3 slides, I'll show you the concept. Just a second. Yeah. Here we stated that the value of R is greater at poles than at equator, and that is why the value of the value of G. See, I have done a mistake here. Just a second. Value of G. I'm really sorry. This is value of G. Value of G is greater at poles than at equator. So if value of G is greater at poles, what does it mean? Value of G is greater, so weight will be greater. So obviously, if this pen weighs 20.5 grams at the poles, it will weigh around 20 grams at the equator. This will be a minuscule difference in the weights on the earth. So remember, weight is a vector quantity. Weight depends on the place at which you are. Similarly, this pen won't weigh 20 grams on the moon. It will weigh less than 10 grams on the moon. Why? Because weight depends on gravitational force. Weight is a vector quantity because it depends on the gravitational force. It changes its value according to the place at which it is present. And SI unit of weight is newtons. Now, this question is an interesting question because this topic is the easiest topic one can ask for. You do not have to remember a lot of things. And this question can come for 2 marks, that is differentiate between mass and weight. You have to just draw 2 columns and write these 4 points one after the other, and you can easily score 2 or 3 marks. This can come for 2 or 3 marks, differentiate between mass and weight. This is one question from this chapter which can be asked, a good theory and an easy theory topic in which you can score marks. What you have to write? You have to just write the definition. Mass is a quantity of matter. Weight is the force with which the earth attracts the object towards the center. Then you have to write mass is scalar, vector is weight is vector. And then you can write SI unit of mass is kilogram, SI unit of weight is Newton. And you can also write this point that this means the value of mass remains same and the value of weight changes with respect to place. You can write this point, or it depends on you. If you want, you can write this point, or you can even not write this point in the exam. It's fine. But these 3 points are important. These 3 points need to be written if this question is asked in your exam question paper. Is this concept fine? So mass is quantity of matter contained in an object. Weight is the force with which the earth attracts the object towards the center. Mass is scalar, weight is vector. SI unit of mass is kg, SI unit of weight is Newton. We move to the next concept. This is one more thing. You might be asked to calculate weight. One more question from this topic can come, that is calculate weight of the object. You might be given the mass of the object and you might be asked to calculate weight. Well, what is weight? Weight is force. Force ka formula we know. What is formula of force? Mass into acceleration. Force ka formula F is equal to m into a. Now, what is A here? What is the value of A? A is nothing but gravitational acceleration, that is G. So we have written here mg. Well, I'm really sorry. Yeah, we have written here mg, and then we substitute the value of G as G is equal to gm upon r square. If there is some info given regarding gm and r, or we simply substitute G as 9.8. Okay, yeah. Then we move on to the next concept, that is free fall. Free fall is a beautiful concept, another beautiful concept from gravitation. What is free fall? Free fall is nothing but a body which falls on the surface of the earth under the influence of Earth's gravity. What is free fall? Basically, I hold the pen here, I let it fall. This is free fall. I hold the pen here, I let it fall. This is free fall. So this pen is acting under the gravity of the earth. This pen falls down when I leave it. This is free fall. So the motion of a body falling towards the earth under the influence of Earth's gravity is called free fall. Well, now for an object in a free fall, just have a look at this. When this object falls, do I give it an initial velocity? Like, do I need to throw it? No, I just leave the object and it falls down. So basically the initial velocity, see, I do not give any force. At this moment, the object is stationary. I just leave my hands and it gains a velocity, it accelerates, and finally I catch it with my another hand. So the initial velocity here, what is the initial velocity here? Initial velocity is 0. Initial velocity is 0 and this velocity keeps on increasing. Initial velocity here is 0. See, the initial velocity is 0 and as it falls down, it goes on increasing, and finally when I hold it in my another hand, it decreases. It comes to 0. So the initial velocity here is always 0 and the velocity then goes on increasing due to acceleration. Now why does this acceleration happen? This acceleration happens due to gravity. This is a beautiful pictorial representation of free fall. See, the objects are left and they go on, the speed of the object goes on increasing. See, at the start the speed of the object is 0. Then it drops down and the speed drastically increases and finally it comes in contact with the surface of the earth. Now, last year we had 3 kinematical equations. If you remember properly, last year we have studied 3 kinematical equations. That is v square is equal to u square plus 2as, v is equal to u plus at, and s is equal to ut plus half at square. These are the 3 kinematical equations which we have studied. Now, just have a look at this point. We just stated that initial velocity is 0. So basically, for free fall, these equations won't work because the initial velocity is 0 and the acceleration is due to gravity. So basically, we have 2 points here. That is, the value of u here is 0 and the value of a here is g. We have 2 concepts here. So v square will be u square is 0 square plus 2 into the value of a is g s. 0 ka square is 0, so I won't add this. So this will be basically 2gs. So v square is equal to 2gs. Then if we similarly substitute for v is equal to u plus at, 0 plus gt, that is gt. So the value of v is gt, value of v square is 2gs, and s is equal to 0 multiplied by t plus half gt square. 0 multiplied t will be 0, so 0 plus something is the same quantity, so half gt square. So you see, we got 3 different kinematical equations for the free fall concept, and this was only because the initial velocity was 0 and the acceleration due to gravity is the acceleration due to gravity. So we put the value of g instead of a. I'll just so for a free fall, initial velocity is 0. I'll just erase this so you guys can have a look. See, so basically for free fall, the initial velocity is u is equal to 0, acceleration a is equal to g. So we substituted the values and what equations we get. V square is equal to 2gs, v is equal to gt, and s is equal to half gt square. If you still did not understand, you may rewind the video and watch again what I just did, and I substituted the values and I got these three equations. So note down these three equations. We will be using these three equations to solve some numericals. Now comes the topic gravitational potential energy, which is also known as GPE. In short form, it is known as GPE, gravitational potential energy. Note this down somewhere. This is known as gravitational potential energy, GPE. Now, what is gravitational potential energy? Energy stored in an object because of the position or state. Energy stored in an object. What is potential energy? Potential energy is nothing but energy stored in an object. Like I am holding the pen here. There is potential energy stored in this pen. I leave the pen. The potential energy stored converts into kinetic energy, and then this performs some work. So gravitational potential energy is nothing. Now we all know energy is a relative quantity. So when an object from a height h is from the surface of the earth, like when an object is at a height, it is at a height from the surface of the earth, it will have some gravitational potential energy. It will have some potential energy, right? When an object is, imagine that this is the surface of the earth and an object is at a height, it is at some height. So obviously this object that I am having in my hand, it will have some potential energy. This potential energy is nothing but gravitational potential energy. So basically it is just potential energy, but it is in relation with gravity. So it is named as gravitational potential energy. So when an object is at height h from the surface of the earth, its potential energy, see, why is it r plus h? I'll explain it to you. A very beautiful derivation, which is even not given in your textbook. What is energy? Energy is force into displacement, right? What is force? So here, what we are calculating gravitational potential energy. What is gravitational potential energy? So basically, what will be the force? Force will be gravitational force. What is gravitational force? Gmm upon r square, right? What is the displacement? Displacement is r, the radius of the earth. So one of the r gets cancelled and we get the value as Gmm upon r. This is the gravitational potential energy on the surface of the earth. This is the gravitational potential energy on the surface of the earth. Now what happens when we go at a height h? When we go at a height h, we just add h, that is the height at which we have gone, and so we get the equation as gravitational potential energy is G capital M, that is mass of the earth, small m is the mass of the object, r is radius of the earth, and h is the height at which we have gone from the surface of the earth. I told m and r are the mass and radius of earth respectively. So this is an important concept. There are some problems based on this formula. So I would like you all to note down this formula. And now we'll move on to the final concept of the day, that is escape velocity. What is escape velocity? You know, ISRO, NASA launches rockets, launches satellites in the outer space. So you need to escape the surface of the earth. You need to escape the gravitational force. You need to escape the gravity of the earth. In order to escape the gravity of the earth, scientists have calculated a certain value. So you need to exceed that value in order to escape the surface of the earth. So now what is escape velocity? I would like to explain it through this example. I've taken this from the your textbook only. When a ball is thrown upwards, its velocity decreases because of the gravitation of the earth. Velocity becomes zero and after a certain height. So see, yeah, I did a mistake. This is ball and this is stone. I'm sorry. We'll just assume a ball. When you play catch, right? Or you just play catch with your friends. So you're standing here and your friend is standing here. Fine. He says throw the ball so that, and there is a tree here. Your friend says that throw the ball such that it should go from above the tree. But you are not that strong. So you try to throw the ball very high, but the ball goes only this much. And then it reaches your friend. Your friend comes forward, takes the catch, and now your friend is very strong. So your friend throws the ball and it goes at a very greater height, and then it comes at you. You move backwards to catch the ball. In this scenario, you were weaker than your friend. So it simply means that you applied lesser force to the ball as inverse to your friend. Your friend applied more force to the ball. So since he applied more force to the ball traveled a greater distance. The ball traveled a greater distance high above the surface of the earth. You can see there is a difference here. The ball traveled more amount that the ball traveled a greater distance from the surface of the earth than what you threw, because your friend applied more force than you. So basically, the greater amount of force you exert, the more is your escape velocity, and the more the object will go high onto the surface of the earth. So yeah, the maximum height depends on initial velocity, as I stated, and initial velocity depends on the force you exert. Basically, the more force you exert, the more will be the initial velocity. So if it is a strong beam, the ball will go more high. If it is not that strong beam, the ball will go at a lesser height. So Newton's equation of motion, well, this is the kinematical equation. V square is equal to u square plus 2as. According to this equation, yeah, now here v is the final velocity of the ball and a is minus g. Now why is a minus g? Because the ball is going up, right? The ball in this case, it is, you are here, right? You are here and you threw the ball goes up, right? So it will, the gravitational force always acts downwards, and gravitational force is a vector quantity. This acts downwards, the ball goes upwards. That is why the value of a is minus g, and the value of v will be 0. Final velocity here, the ball reaches, it becomes 0. The ball stops at that point, and then it starts to come down to the surface of the earth after some time. So at this point, the value of v will be 0, and the value of a is minus g. Now we substitute the values, and what we get is 0 square, that is 0 is equal to u square plus 2g multiplied by minus g. So if you solve this into s, and the maximum height of the ball is s is equal to minus u square by 2g. I'll erase this. Yeah, s is equal to minus u square by 2g. Well, I'll explain it to you how we get this. See, what we have done here is we have put the value of v square as 0, so this becomes 0 is equal to u square plus 2 multiplied by minus g into s. What we need to find the value of s. So what do we do for finding the value of s? First we take the u square to that side, so minus u square is equal to minus 2g multiplied by s. So s is equal to minus u square by 2g. Fine. Yeah, I'll erase this off. So this is the value you get. after doing all these substitutions. Next, we have another concept, that is escape velocity, or the value of escape velocity. Escape velocity, V escape, VE, we denote it by VE. Value of V is 2 root GR, and we have shown here how it is 2 root GR. By principle of conservation of energy, E1 and E2. Now, what is E1 and what is E2? E1 is the energy, that is half mv square, which where v square is escape velocity, and E2 is the gravitational energy, that is gmm upon r. We have calculated this gravitational potential energy. So v square will be 2gm, this m gets cancelled, and this 2 from this v escape velocity comes in the numerator. So v square escape velocity is 2gm by r. So v escape velocity is root 2 gm by r. So gm by r we know is so yeah, this thing is a bit confusing. I'll explain this one. See, what they have given is v is equal to root 2 gr, right? Oh yeah, just a second. I'm really sorry. There is everything. Yeah. See, I'll try to explain this step. This step might appear a bit confusing. That gm by r se direct gr kaisa aa gaya? See, we know g is equal to gm upon r square, right? Now, see, take a look properly. G is equal to gm upon r multiplied by r. Take 1r on this side. Gr is equal to gm upon r. This is the substitution which we did here, and we got this answer. Okay, so remember this also, you keep it in your mind. V escape velocity is root 2 gr. So this is the last formula which we have learned for the day, and this formula will also be useful for us to calculate the escape velocity of the earth. Well, I would like you all to do one thing. You guys calculate the escape velocity for earth. Calculate the escape velocity of the earth. Just try this out. I think the answer is given in the textbook, but you can try it on your own self. You can try, you can substitute the value of g as 9.8, the value of r. Substitute these values and try to find out the value of escape velocity for earth. It should come around 11.2 kilometers per second. Just try to find and see if it matches. Till then, revise all these concepts once again. In the next lecture, we'll be doing the numericals. Till then, take care, bye-bye, and keep studying.